So the FNCS Pro-Am was quite recent, and today I'm going to be reacting to every single game in the Pro-Am. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5 and Game 6. Let's jump into it. Okay, let's begin with game number 1. Bro, the music was sick.
This is what we have all been waiting
Game
for.
1.
One day
I watched this as well. This is like, this is after.
Our 2025 FNCS Pro-Am Champ team is going to be, and initially off the jump, Peterbot, Aussie, they've got control of Slurpee, but they've got company.
Peterbot.
If that would have just been a Mammoth pistol right out of the gate for Peterbot, I would be worried for Booga and TG, but now it's just a bunch of SMGs. Ozzy already found the Mammoth. He's going to go ahead and deliver that one first class on over to Peterbot as soon as he gets the chance, but they're just going to shield up, get a lot of these chests. In reload, it's about 100% chest spawn, so you got a lot of opportunity to get the loot that you need.
Keep an eye on where
So Aussie Antics and Peterbot landed at Slurpee Swamp. And then Clicks and Lacey landed at Steamy Stacks.
Even 50-50 for the most part, but I don't think that a 50-50 clean split is the intention here.
No, I don't think it is for the most part, but because of those 100%, there's a lot of floor loot and stuff that they can split it rather safely, or you can choose to fight it later once you do get that full loadout. But I did see in the feed, typical gamer taking down Courage. Now Cypher PK is going down, so a lot of these players already just going right at it to try to get those early elimination points so they don't have to worry about a deficit later on.
And it's always rough to be one of the first players eliminated, because then you're just an open season target for the rest of the lobby. Alex, if he'd had that reload online, we might have even expected to see him fire a shot out of that Mammoth one more time, but Slurpee Swamp getting a little bit encroached upon, and this is Aussie and Peterbot's territory, but more so Peterbot's.
Everybody kind of switching things up. It does look like Seti is just away from where we thought he was going to drop initially and put himself in a 1v2 situation against Savage and Lachlan. But Savage just gets Mammoth, and I believe it was Peterbot from on top, and already he's moving in for the straight elimination. Down.
So Mr. Savage down.
Peterbot is instantly getting busy here in game 1.
Peterbot sees
Okay.
that Peterbot wants his own part of it. Finding that first elimination now means everybody else is left scrambling. Lachlan trying to escape. He knows he is on the hunt, but Peterbot, watch your back. There's more company, more targets in sight.
It's like the Peterbot hit list, and it scores 38 players, every single one. He's trying to get at least a single elimination on everybody in the game. Here in
They were doing it in Slurp Rush Reload as well.
Warnings that we were talking about. It's just like a flare in the sky. They know exactly where you're at, and Peterbot is just on the hunt for Mr. Savage yet again, who luckily finds at least a shockwave to create just a little bit more.
Dude, look at him. Bro, look at dude. Look at Peter. Look at him. He's hungry, bro.
Inside of this Mammoth, and it'll be up close and personal. Thunder Shotgun pulled at the ready. Savage.
Right. Look at this. Look. See, look, done.
Welcome to the Interstellar Song Countdown.
Oh, we're so safe.
Ah, ignore these ads.
Warning, Domino's delivers quicker than you think. Hot and fresh in 25 minutes on average.
Flamingo Beach.
And that's going to be a knock. Another elimination for Peter, who needs a warm-up.
Yeah, Mr. Savage went down.
Things done.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows, but Savage kind of just helped the lobby right there because you saw Peterbot only had one more Mammoth pistol shot left, so he's not going to be able to do that much damage from far away anymore unless he finds his loot llama in the fact.
And then,
if you have any more of those that I can borrow, Thomas HD.
Yeah, Thomas
Somerset,
HD and Somerset.
from their original drop spot, and you can see they have a pretty decent loadout. But when we're looking for Thomas HD, no sniper, no Mammoth pistol, he doesn't have the firepower that we expect him to have yet.
A little bit of you take this, I'll take that from Somerset and Thomas. But Aussie, Peterbot, they're not done. Pete especially, he's just keying everybody. And Mongrel, this is a conversation starter. Peterbot annoyed even that these two would have the audacity to challenge them at Slurpy Swamp. But Peterbot, Ali
Oh my God.
bringing Pete down. Pete actually going to be forced to pull back. But Aussie, he's got the supportive measure. He knows his responsibility, and he's going to make sure that Pete is safe and sound.
And the little things, Taco, it's the little things right there for Ozzy, being able to go in, sneak in. He edited the backside cover for Peterbot to safely escape and gave the shields and heals exactly what he needs in a situation like that, because it was definitely a tough spot to be in for a quick moment. But relatively early, third zone, only one tick of damage. You could still stay and stagger yourself back if you need be.
But you see Aussie play back up, but then immediately goes right back to the farming. It'll be a test of endurance for those two making their way out of Slurpy Swamp. But Nika, Podesai, can't even classify them as a dark horse because these are two very high-tier competitors. But with the way that they're kind of trying to position right now, Jacob, looks like they don't want to get caught up in too much of that early commotion. They'd rather prioritize the positioning.
Yeah, talking to them in the player room before it started, they're just going to play their game. They're not concerned with everybody's drop spots. They're not concerned with everybody's strategies. They're not even concerned with anybody sleeping on them. They say, hey, that's a blessing, because they're not going to see what's coming. And I think they're just focusing on prioritizing the rotation this time around. That's why they're going towards the north, but towards the eastern side of the
Flake's
zone.
power as well.
Flakes. They've had a rough time. That surprise triple contestation could delay your timing so much.
And even with Baxity and Reason kind of calling out the fact, hey, we're just looking to take the dockside entirely out of Salty Docks, but Cooper made a great point. He called out that those two are eventually going to have to rotate in, and guess where they're going to have to go through? Both of these duos, opposite ends, so the fight was inevitable from Salty, and it's kind of what every...
Booger and Tipple Gamer at the gas station.
Look at this, though. Typical Gamer, one of the most viewed Fortnite creators
Yeah.
in the world right now.
Super Red versus Blue.
Booga, 2 eliminations to 0.
Go play Super Red versus Blue.
Crash pads, the legendary Slurp
Now.
Juice. He has a very good loadout. Right now, the only real concern for them is how they're going to make their way in towards zone. They did let 1 or 2 teams already...
Got a few tags on Stable Ronaldo.
Sleep on TG, though. You have to remember, this is someone
Nice.
playing alongside Quinn even out of the West region on NA, and they've been able to have some pretty strong performances. He's definitely a strong competitor. I'm excited to see how they continue to cook in this lobby, but Kanata, Ronaldo, they already got a little bit clipped, a little bit tagged up from Typical Gamer and Booga, so they are very much aware they might be getting pressed here soon.
The Mammoth pistol is going to be in Kanata's hands. Dave Ronaldo, kind of like clean up loadout, the Stinger. Kanata can land a good amount of damage with that Mammoth pistol. Whether either one of the shotgun or the SMG, he's going to be able to clean that one up easy, but they're just on the side of the mountain. A lot of teams already pressing forward in that rotation. They're just kind of biding their time. They're a team with 2 FNC as champions, by the way, on it, that know that patience is a virtue, and just being able to just slowly let other players make the mistakes that you can capitalize on.
Power Alex and Loser Fruit.
Taking over that performance from yesterday's practice lobbies, already 3 eliminations. He's definitely keeping in mind just how impactful those individual elim points will actually amount to. And he's got Gone and Flakes in his sights.
Oh, nice.
Chance to respond, threw up an attempt
Nate Hill's down.
but Alex just way too quick on the trigger.
And that's what we were talking about in those practice games. Alex going punch for punch with the likes of Peterbot in terms of getting simple eliminations. As we're seeing the zone, it is going to close up just a little bit, but it's a 50-50 with the whole south side being in the zone, and that's why you see Peterbot and Ozzy just trying to rotate to the north. It's not a ton of damage by any means, Taco, but you can see they're trying to save and utilize their heals for as long as possible.
And the problem is that chug jug that Ozzy's holding onto isn't for him. That has got Peterbot's name on it. And the longer that Ozzy can hold on to that without having to actually use it on himself, probably the better off they're going to feel with these rotates. And the direction that they're headed, though, Somerset, Thomas HD, they might have an opportunity here to try and cut off some teams, play a little bit of spoiler to this edge zone.
Yeah, loadout's looking pretty good. They got that
Hang on.
cannon, so
Somerset isn't even good. She's not even good.
As Cold and Courage find themselves all the way towards the north, steamy stacks, but there's about 6 teams on this side of the map. They find themselves in the zone, though. That's a luxury they know they can count on for now.
This is still a nice readjustment in comparison to a lot of the troubles that we saw them encountering in yesterday's practice games. Courage, Cold, they'd rather bide their time. They don't actually have to throw away their positioning anytime soon, but if Regs and Nahil get a little bit too close in their space, you could expect some sparks to fly.
Yeah, and I feel like it's this point of the game, the nerves start to just get a little bit more up there because those reboots are about to turn off in Zone 7. So most of the teams have already rotated. You can see it in the minimap in close proximity of one another. So even though if you go down here, now it's the 6th zone, you will reboot. But where are you going to go? Where are you going to find the loot? So that's why you're seeing a lot of these teams taking it just a little bit more serious than some of the games that we saw yesterday.
Plus, you got to keep in mind, Cooper, Zemi, they were grinding all morning. They've got to be feeling very warmed up, doing nonstop 2v2s up against Kanata and Stable Ronaldo. And the way that they just shockwave
Kanata.
center zone, they're bound to get caught up in a little bit of action. But Reddish, Veno, first off, they want to be the ones intervening.
Look, Bo, look at Veno. He was locked in, okay? He was locked in for game 1.
They don't want to let up any pressure. They're just going to continuously spray into where that action's taking
There's still
place.
loads of people left.
So bad for Ronaldo right now. I don't even know
Oh,
where
Kanata got a nice shot.
If he can find his way back to Kanata, that will be good. And they are kind of deep in the back of the zone. This is about what are his chances, which is going to be relatively good. I don't even know how he just done it, but he did it.
And that's what you look at a former FNCS champ for, okay? Ronaldo's got his method. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's got a
No.
vengeance.
Ron took down TG. And then Ron went down.
Just tough spot.
Barrett.
He didn't even fully stand up. He was kind of crouched down at the top of the mountain. Cooper, Zemi, honestly, leading up into this pro-am, this has to be one of the
Zemi and Cooper.
predicted teams in top 5, one of the most predicted teams to actually win the FNCS pro-am. But hold up, Cole getting busy. Kurt said they were going to take out Cypher PK. I'm not sure if he said he was going to do it himself or he's going to let Cole do it for him.
Look, who else was getting their duo bananas?
Okay, so Courage just took down Cypher.
And it's showing off here. Cold, feeling primed and ready to go. Cypher being the first victim, and possibly many more to come.
And Cypher also in a tough spot, with Moxie being a little bit of a solo here for a few seconds.
Nicky 13 Queasy on the top.
And you hear that sound.
On the high ground.
Going to be disabled from here on out. If you go down, you are forced to watch the rest of the game play out.
Oh, every player for themselves, and absolutely nobody is safe. Shockwave or crash pad, whatever direction you want to head, but you've got to keep your head on a swivel, otherwise you might lose it. As Veno so nicely showcased, but Veno and Reddish, they've still got their work cut out for them. They know there's a lot of neighbors that they don't necessarily want to be knocking on the doors of just yet. You're trying to draw as little of attention as possible.
Ooh, well, yeah, I did see him kind of get targeted by a few players, dropped to a low HP. Peterbot's the one that's actually cleaning up the elimination. Points go to Booga, loot goes to Peterbot. And that's where you're seeing a whole lot of importance as Moxie. We literally saw her go down. Now we're seeing what happens when you get rebooted a little too late, and now she is out of there.
But look at Nick and Queasy, they're already trying to come into your eye. Peterbot and Aussie, they're just gonna clear out their own dead side rotate. Pete, always happy to get involved with a little bit of box-to-box fighting, and if they're not
Thomas
careful,
took down
the
TG.
ground might actually take
You can see in the kill feed.
Mongrel.
Top
Very
left.
lucky to still be alive right now. That's a rare miss from Peterbot.
And he's feeling the pressure. This is a duo competition, but for the rest of this game, Mongrel's going to have to play it out as a solo, and I think Peterbot sees
Mongrel's getting pressured by Peterbot.
Really forced them to kind of rethink that strategy there for that quick moment. And that's saving Mongrel. He doesn't even know how he just got blessed, but on a high ground. You know him. You love him. It's Queasy.
Look at
30, and hopefully this time around they can hold on to their high ground.
Sell it, pack it up, ship it, boom. Extra cash in your pocket. So, what are you waiting for? Sell your electronics on Vinted today.
Are you all ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
The zone pulling over this hillside has just completely set Queasy and Nick in an optimal position, but you always have to be careful because high ground can be challenged at any given moment, and Queasy is fully aware of that factor. He's already caught a glimpse of Shota and Koyota on that secondary height, but teams are on the move. They're trying to control that front side low, and Podesai, Nikov, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Yeah, he has to let that legendary Slurp Juice get his HP and shield back up, because if he were to go now, one Mammoth Pistol will definitely do him in, but now the crash pad's going out. They're just simply trying to get their way to the front side of the gun. Clicks and Lacey, same thing as Cole finds himself with another elimination. That's one each for Courage and Cole.
I'm not even going to talk. I'm gonna let Zeke do the speaking.
He kept that promise right here.
Oh, that potassium helping counteract those back cramps. Courage, he's coming alive. Somebody
Oh, Dyer went down. Yeah, Nick A30 and Queasy are still on height. Oh wow. Koyo is dead.
It's a different level of flexibility when you're playing as a solo. No, you now have to be
Ozzy's dead.
anymore, as Ozzy gets caught out as well. Cole just taking names and checking them off that list one at a time. But they're
Nice.
he needs the HP, and he found speed.
Go for the thirst, honestly.
That's all that Cole needed. He just wanted all of the material.
It's so interesting as well. It's sick. It's sick, bro. It's actually so sick.
And counteract this, but from the secondary high position, they still got to deal with these teams on low. Queasy and Nick, they're not letting up either. Alex doing what he can to fend for himself in the backside, but Nikov, Podesai, immediately shockwaving towards frontside low. They're waiting, they're hoping that somebody is going to run into one of their pre-edits.
There are 15 teams still alive. Placement points have not touched this lobby just yet. It's all eliminations all the way, as Cole is looking for another one. Savage, weak as can be on the other side. Lachlan's there as well. Shockwave from Panada, causing a little bit of destruction and confusion. As Cole
Right, Savage is dead.
An opportunity there, but he misses out. But Zemi's going to steal that one away. Peterbot is struggling to get out of the
Peterbot went down. Haha. Screw you, mate. Bow.
Clicks creating so much space. Lazy, all that bot reviewing from last night, buddy. It's kicking in now. Queasy gonna
Oh, Nick went down. It's only Queasy left. Oh wow. But I love the end game. In these tournaments, yeah, I love the end games. They're so like intriguing. Look. Bro, the action just gets mental in the end games for these tournaments. It's ridiculous. Lacey went down. Lacey's dead. Oh!
There's one duo left in this game, and it's Cooper and Zemi. Everybody else is solo. Just Queasy's trying to go for the heal off. The Chug Jug backside of the zone.
Yeah, no, I think Zemi won game one. I'm pretty sure. I think Zemi and Cooper won game one. I'm pretty sure.
situation. If anybody can do it, it has to be Queasy.
Yep. Winners. Let's go!
Victory Royale, and this is the moment they want to keep that momentum building.
Nice.
They won the last game of the practice games yesterday. They held
The
on
music
to
is
that
sick, by the
momentum.
way.
They held on to that confidence, and they fired off here in game one.
Nice.
So let's see how they're feeling with Frankie.
All right, guys. Congratulations. Galen Center, give it up for your Victory Royale winners.
Game 2.
Look, any game one jitters that might have existed, it's got to go out the window.
Here you go, everyone dropping from the battle bus.
Needs to absolutely lock in, because it doesn't matter if you're a pro, it doesn't matter if you're a creator. Everybody has equal opportunity to find those eliminations with the way that things are getting so chaotic in these end games.
Sometimes you just got to start to take a little bit more control over your own destiny, whether that's getting eliminations, pushing up for more positioning, because we saw it. Zone 5, that's when a lot of the teams started position, but Peterbot finds himself at Dirty Dots. Ozzy finds himself down. They probably spotted him out, but Booga and Typical Gamer as a solo. Peterbot thought he was going to be safe to get rebooted if he went down, but Ozzy going down changes things up completely, because guess where he just got rebooted?
Cooper, Zemi, Flakes, they're all looking up at the sky. Ozzy doing everything he
Oh.
can to try and
Yeah, Ozzy went down.
He's gonna get
Ozzy went down.
one more time. Somebody's sure to clean him up. That'll be gone. But Alex and Loser Fruit, they've recognized, hey, if there's gonna be somebody getting eliminated this early on, we want to make sure that we can possibly get involved. And everyone's starting to creep up now into this Dirty Docks area.
Even had Faxity and Reason going on over there as Seti and Daya with 2 eliminations.
Just change the
19
background.
teams left in the game, which means they sent one of them packing early here for game number 2. And that's got to start to boost the confidence right there for Seti and Daya, because now they got position on one of the high hills here on the map, and they can kind of just play it by ear.
Aussie is so used to watching the pros be victims, but now he's on the receiving end. He just cannot touch the ground. Everybody just aiming up, trying to prevent him from getting any sense of survivability. And Peterbot, he's gonna completely scatter. He's trying to make as much space as possible so that his duo could actually try and be a contender here in Lobby 2.
I kind of know what this feels like right now. Getting put in the blender, you're getting put into a smoothie right now. But they figured it out. Peterbot was able to create enough distance so when Ozzy got rebooted yet again, they're more closer towards Slurpy Swamp. But you got to remember, it was Booga and Typical Gamer that got those early eliminations onto Ozzy, and they already moved into that POI.
Ooh, Alex getting mixed up here with Nate Hill, but Nate Hill, that's going to be a fast elimination. Regs now
Nate Hill went down.
just looking to pull back. She needs to disengage. Defense is the best offense at times, and Regs knows Alex not trying to let up the pressure anytime soon. With Nate dropping back into the lobby, he's not careful. He could get eliminated one more time. Alex nearly picking off Nate.
There they go. Yep, Nate.
He'll get the job done, finish what he started, and Nate just gonna have to sit and hope that Regs is gonna be able to play a little bit more defense for him so he can actually touch down.
Man, these were the fears. These were the fears. Talking to Alex, even Kanata, that you can't split and play that way because it's like a beacon. You're like a flare in the ocean. They know exactly where you're respawning at, and now Alex has found the actual player keeping the whole thing alive with all the loot, which is Regs, getting pressured in by Loser Flute on one side, Alex playing box to box on the other. The top was already taken, and now he's moving in to try to clean up this elimination onto Regs, and he does so with...
Okay, nice. Regs going down as well.
With how close we are to Boom and Base, that might actually draw the attention of the Gentlemates, Nikov and Podicide. They're starting to kind of poke their heads on over. They've got a good idea that maybe there's a survivor trying to scramble into their area. Peterbot and Aussie, though, they left Slurpy Swamp wide open, and other teams have tried to move in, but Mongrel doesn't stand a chance. Peterbot letting him know what's good for what feels like the millionth time since yesterday's games. And Peterbot, 2 eliminations already. He is just reminding everybody why you do not challenge him.
I feel like that's a symbol of Fortnite. Out with the old Mongrel, in with the new.
Peterbot is so good though.
That's the
thing, he's actually so good.
5 FNC CS is. He sees Mongrel once again. A little bit of missed opportunities there from Peterbot, something that you don't see very often, but at least it lets us know that he is human.
But it's just crazy to think about the fact that Aussie and Peterbot could land at Dirty Docks, and yet no other duo was able to take full advantage of moving into an optimal position at Slurpy Swamp to even try and cut them off. Sure, you've got Booga and Typical Gamer a little ways ahead of them, but even that is a fight that Peterbot is more than open to taking on head first.
Yeah, confidence at an all-time high here. And we saw this elimination on the Mongrel. We let him know what's up right afterwards. Ozzy just kind of playing that safe game. Something that Ozzy's just playing his role pretty well, and he's not just getting that big head, that ego, and being invited to a competition like this. He said, hey, I'm just going to do what I need to do for my teammate, and we'll see what happens.
Koyota and Captain Shota, though, they're just going to keep things moving. They don't want to get stuck between multiple teams. They're trying to prioritize just making it into that initial edge of zone. But Koyota is such a prominent fragger. Everybody knows what he is capable of. And I think that's why they're just going to look to hedge their bets on taking this fight with Allier and Mongrel. Allier a little bit too split from his duo. He doesn't stand a chance. Koyota, just a menace to be reckoned with. That'll be his first elimination. And I'm sure that he's bound to continue looking up into the sky for more.
So some of those things you don't see coming with the crash pads and the shockwaves. You think you're safe, but no team is nearby. And a blink of an eye, Allier gets jumped on, put back on respawn. And that's the same pain Mongrel's been feeling. So for this game number 2, Allier and Mongrel have been having such a tough time.
Oh yeah, Allier kept getting
Another elimination
like
Allier. Even if they're not
getting like he kept getting killed out of the air.
We all knew that follow-up was inevitable from Koyota and Shota, but even more importantly still, we've got a little bit of a listen in with a couple of our fan favorites, Peterbot and Aussie.
Wait, Mongrel.
On you? Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go kill Allier.
Yeah, yep, nice.
That beyond?
Yep, I'm just getting the slow truck and then I'll help you, okay? Nice, bro.
Right, farm out of here, follow Mongrel.
Yep, yeah. Nice, bro, good stuff, man.
So now we know what the starting point was like between those two teams. Peterbot just calls the target, Aussie, all too ready to follow up.
If they were just a couple of seconds sooner on getting that elimination onto Mongrel, that would have been another team down and out of the game, but their strategy is not working so well because it's actually Zemi who steals away the elimination, Alex getting all of that loot. As they're trying to base up over here just south of Boomin Base, you see a couple of teams outside of the zone, a couple more inside of the zone, and you're seeing it's Podesai and Nikov, the ones that actually land off in this position, that are trying to take most use of it.
But we just saw Alex with 6 eliminations, 6 points already, Jacob, and yet there's only been one duo fully eliminated from this lobby.
Seeing the struggles that happen if you go down too early. And this is where I start to talk about a little bit of that danger zone, 5th zone, going into 6. You're still able to reboot, but where are you gonna go? You go too deep into the zone, you could get chunked out even with the barrels. It's Cammy, Jacob, trying to play it very, very carefully. They know the whole western side of that zone is going to open up. They know it's relatively low damage, so they're gonna hedge their bets in that direction.
But with all that early commotion at Dirty Docks, Dynasty, Faxity, and Reason are still kicking in this one. They're looking like they might be able to get a nice flank opportunity onto a couple of our teams that are pushed a little bit further inside this edge of zone. But Fax and Reason, Big Brother, trying to be careful, doesn't want to overstep his welcome.
You know, when Faxity got in last second, I might have been one of the happiest people being able to watch him play, being able to check out his streams. He is so entertaining, and he's good. He's good. He just needs to get more reps in a competition. You know, you saw that stat. He's placed top 10 in at least 10 of them. He just hasn't been able to pull off that big win. But hey, if he's able to pull off a win here at the FNCS Pro-Am, that's the only one that matters.
His only option is to pull off a victory royale here, Jacob. He said he was getting at least one for the broadcast today, at least one for the fans back home, and he's got to get at least one for Amar. I mean, show the man some love. Everything happens for a reason, though, and we'll have to check back in with Faxity to see what's taking place. Cooper, Zemi, wanting to get a little bit aggressive onto Daya and Seti. They're going to have to sit and wait.
Seeing at least 3 teams over towards Slurpee. One of them's going to get jumped on by Peterbot. That's Jacob who does go down. It's actually Ozzy who gets the elimination. Third one of the game, and they get that legendary Slurp juice. It's going to heal up that shield and HP over time if they need it, which they might because the zone is pulling all the way towards the north. I'm not sure who that second team is just outside of Slurpee Swamp with them. It's going to be Flakes and Gone. They need to be careful because Peterbot and Ozzy are warming up and getting more and more dangerous as time goes on.
Oh, but Cammy, he's running out of mobility options and he is being chased out. Jacob already looking grim as far as his HP can take him though. And he'll buy a little bit more time here, but Gone and Flakes, they're not looking to let things settle. The rest of the lobby also taking notice of this team that's under duress, and Jacob will be forced to duck underneath that bridge, try to reunite with Cammy. Gone and Flakes gonna tarp their way through. They've got enough hard mats to make it happen, but you don't want to burn all of your material too early on.
Yep, it's Flakes and Gone, but let's go ahead and take a listen in for Thomas, HD, and Somerset and how they're playing through this endgame.
1.5, 55. I think we're just gonna have to be a little aggressive.
Wait, there's a guy. That was the guy from before.
Yeah, there's a team buff.
I like that. I like that. Everybody knows Thomas HD, probably the IGL from the team, but Somerset just letting her opinion be known. We might have to play a little bit aggressive.
I don't think they won a game.
And if I'm Thomas HD and my teammate says, look, we got to start getting aggressive to close the gap, I would be with it, especially if I got a Mammoth.
Thomas was just so nonchalant about that elimination too. It's like he had no other expectations but for it to go his way.
Nice spray though. Yeah, nice spray though. Look.
Potentially having been stolen away from him though, but no, it is credited Nate Hill. Will one more time be added to the tally count here for Alex and Loserfruit. Oceano showing up big right now, and Loserfruit herself, she said it, all I want is to place higher than Locky. And with the way that Alex is firing off on all cylinders right now, he might be able to make it happen.
A power grudge match, and honestly, Alex with those 7 eliminations as that one gets taken away by Cold and possibly Faxity as well. I think this might be the most eliminations we've actually been able to see. I know it's only been 1.5 games so far, but with reboots turned off, that's where the pressure is really going to be felt. Nate Hill, Regs separated a little bit too far for their own liking, especially since they're both going to feel a little bit of that max pull. Regs is going to go down to Thomas HD. One more elimination point for them, and now that leaves Nate Hill by himself.
Cold's bound to have spotted out that body loot though. That Regs just popped off directly underneath their current position. Courage, a little bit pressed here for the loadout, but he's at least got 150 in that chug jug. They can still work with this. They would definitely like a refresh because every elimination point, we're going to need to see some of these teams start going big like other individuals already have.
Yeah, this might be one of them. You see, he does have that exotic SMG. Every time he reloads, he does get that 0-point dash effect a little bit. Doesn't last a long time, but hey, in an endgame this chaotic, it's the little difference makers that really count. As Jacob and Cam are just trying to go ahead and cement their position. They know it's not a far rotation to zone, but how dangerous this lobby is. They blink and things could turn sideways. Instead of going through, Moxie, Cypher going up and over, and Stable, Ronaldo, Kanata are trying to get denied entry.
Everybody just preventing Ronaldo and Kanata from moving even 1 inch closer. They're going to be forced to actually pull back, try and drop as much wall coverage as possible, but it's Peterbot and Otzi that are refusing to let Kanata and Ronaldo get any closer. They want full control of this low ground position, and they've got it. They've made Kanata and Ronaldo use so much of their builds. Ronaldo doesn't really have a whole lot left to work with. They're going to need to find an elimination for a refresh.
Yep, and this is a good opportunity here. Of course, they want a shockwave to the front, but at least they're able to get a little bit of point of view where their competition is at. As soon as they make their way there, box up.
Look, here we go. This is now where the end game starts getting interesting. Nicky 13 Queasy still on height.
Going for that early high ground 8 zone. There's still a couple more, so hopefully it works out this time.
But it's the Queasy classic. Get height, don't die. He said Nick was moving earlier while they were doing their warm-ups this morning, and Nick, he knows sole responsibility. Just apply pressure to whatever angle that Queasy doesn't have full tabs on. They just want to prevent anybody from moving up with them.
Got to be careful for those shockwaves. Any team down below could shockwave up. Try to hit a little bit of surprise attack. Ozzy went down not too long ago.
Look, Nicky 13 Queasy like pretty much had height every game.
Different feeling when you're Peterbot as a solo. He doesn't have to play to help Ozzy. He doesn't have to play to help a duo. He can just play as a solo.
Oh, and then Nicky 30 fell.
crashing down for Nick at 30 as Gone and Flakes look up and send them packing.
And Queasy, he doesn't have any mobility. He's going to be forced to actually commit to those lower layers unless he can find a refresh. But the
Flakes went down.
Peterbot catches Flake completely off guard. Gone now going to be forced to work as a solo from this current zone. And Gone, he's got the high ground. He's trying to stop Thomas in his tracks. But Gone, how much longer can you realistically buy time with this loadout?
Peterbot behind him does have that shockwave. He can make his presence known in the blink of an eye. So Gone has to be careful. A lot of our solos just trying to look bigger than they actually are. Clicks is even going for the high ground. Peterbot finds his way in. The legendary slurp juice that he got from Ozzy paying off big.
Anybody else, you wouldn't even bat an eye, but for Peterbot, he's used to working in this kind of operation. The solo scenario is what he can actually pop off in best, but Lacey, Clicks, they're a duo compadre unit. They don't have to worry about anybody else because they're taking advantage, just spraying all these.
Yeah, look at the end games. I love them.
They have the slurp down below. Peterbot is trying to hold
The end games are so cool in these tournaments.
That's Faxity.
They really are.
Pressure as they get shockwave up and off. Clicks, Lacey do not have high ground anymore. In fact, they're going up get sneak off for it. First down going to be cleaned up. Clicks is firing on all cylinders.
And Clicks better because that shockwave takes in the wrong direction, but it doesn't matter. Clicks, he finds Alex. That's a huge shutdown to Loser Fruit's team. And even with Clicks losing Lacey, he looks like he's got things fully under control in the high ground.
He has to be careful though. He has no real way down in terms of safety. No shockwaves, no crash pads, but he's making sure nobody can look up, so it will not be a worry, especially with the zone floating on over to the side of that mountain. Another solo is going to be Peterbot, and he's running out of his chug jug, and he's running out fast.
That zone was looking awfully devious, but the way that it's pulling back over its elevation is actually going to be a huge benefit to Clicks. He's got these pre-existing builds. All he has to do is keep the pressure at an all-time high. Peterbot might be forced to drop here in a moment, though, but who's he going to drop into? Could it be Cooper? Could it be Kanata? No, instead, layer transition back towards that secondary height.
Cold went down.
To the abyss off that shockwave, and Daya, she'll meet her end, though.
Now every single person left alive in this game is a solo in this competition, and Seti's just trying to work his way through. All he has is the bare minimum, the siphon mask, but if you look up, no, that's not an angel, that's Clicks, and he has more legendary slurp juices that he knows what to do with. This is a Clicks game.
Kanata, he's reliving the practice moments currently. He doesn't have any heals this time, though, and Seti, don't know if he's in the...
Yeah, I think Clicks wins this game, I'm pretty sure.
Clicks, an absolute menace in the high ground, just causing so much mayhem for the two down below. Seti finds Kanata. Now it's all up to Clicks. Clicks trying to make sure he just doesn't get chopped out. Seti, he's got a way to make his way towards the high ground. Clicks can't afford a drop. He has to use all of his builds. He still has a couple of slurp juices remaining. He's gonna look for Seti. He wants the finishing shot. He doesn't need the heal up, but he might just look to play it safe anyway.
Siphon mats are so important. That changes the game completely from the situation we're in. Double slurp juice pop.
Yep. GG.
Outside of the zone, but back he goes, and back he does it. Clicks and Lacey.
GG.
Game number 2.
They said they were up all night, and it doesn't matter what anybody else might make of it because they came prepared here today. The performance is peaking, Jacob. A victory royale in game 2, and Frankie, even more to say.
Lacey and Clicks. Game 3, here we go.
This is it, like you're saying.
Game 3.
And you saw that leaderboard. And it's not necessarily going the way that I thought. It's not elimination heavy. It's been consistency in the placements and making these top 5s, making these top 3s. So this is what it's really all about. Maybe you could close the gap in the last half of the day, but who knows?
One thing's for sure, though, Faxity and Reason playing that third-party contest at Dirty Dogs has made it very difficult for Flakes and Gone to find that level of consistency in comparison to Zemi and Cooper. They've just been silently sliding through those endgames. We saw their game 1 pop off too, and other teams, they're gonna have to step it up or they'll fall behind.
Yeah, it's really, really important here because this is a good pacing game, seeing where you're at versus the rest of the pack. It's almost like testing your strategy. Is it working? But
I think before the pro-am they all chose their drop spots.
There goes half of the HP. And I don't think Benno's going to go on this great chase. It's a little bit too risky, especially since he doesn't even necessarily know where Clix himself has landed, so he doesn't want to get taken down a little early.
I think if Benno had a shockwave there, he would have gone for it. He would have full sent it, but no mobility means you're going to have to come to a halt. Alex on the other end, he's got Cypher PK in his sights, and Cypher shockwave to safety just in the nick of time. He'll be able to reunite with Moxie, and she'll play that supportive measure, that backup unit. And that's going to stop Alex in his tracks. He can't continue to press that issue.
You know, watching the Milk Cup, Moxie was trying to make a last game run in that final game of the day. I think they had like 15 plus elimination before they eventually went down and were cut short. But that's the type of confidence I do want to see from these teams. Take control of your own game. Get aggressive when you can, especially if Alex and Loser Fruit are landing on you and trying to take the fight and catch you off guard.
Scenes at Fort Crumpet, though, is just Queasy trying to take advantage of Seti and Naya spotted off on the bridge a little bit further north. And Queasy, he's always got a very familiar strategy, Jacob. Doesn't matter if it's FNCS Major Finals or if it's the Pro-Am. Queasy's going to be looking for height every single time.
And so far about the 8th zone and first 2 games, we have seen them kind of lead the pack in terms of consistently being up there on that high ground. It's just closing it out has been the struggles. Whether it's somebody shock-waving you off of the high ground or you doing it yourself, they need to figure out how to close out those mistakes and kind of minimize how many they're making. It's Koyota, Captain Shota, Log Jam Lodging. They're just kind of looting up slowly. There is one player towards their south that they might have to be careful for, but this is a team that is coming in as a little bit of an underdog. So nobody really expects it. Even though Coyote is always breaking the mold and showing us new tricks in competitions just like this.
Oh, you can't say nobody, because Captain Shota, if you got a chance to talk to that guy like I did, he was just calling out, we are going to be winning. It's going to take a little bit of a pop-up now to play catch-up, but Alex stopped mid-air by Nate Hill. You want to go for a blue battle? Nate Hill coming out on top of that exchange. Loser Fruit, all she wants to do now is just wait that full 10 seconds. She's just hoping that Alex is able to actually touch ground, though.
Oh my. I was saying Nate Hill got a good upgrade because he didn't have a shotgun before, but now Regs has the mythic mini gun in reload. That is going to shred if they can keep it towards the end game. Fresh off the respawn, it's Loser Fruit this time around though versus Nate Hill. This is a good amount of loot if they're able to take down Loser Fruit, but I hear the crash pad and there is so much distance being made by Loser Fruit with that heads up play.
But Nate, he's got to be real careful. You don't want to get over ambitious. You don't want to draw too much attention. Alex hiding, waiting to see if he can get an angle and opening any kind of way to find this knock of revenge onto Nate Hill. But Nate immediately causing that elimination take place onto Loser Fruit now means that Alex will be forced to just continue hiding.
He gets a little bit of the zone. It's just unfortunate where Nate Hill and Regs are currently positioned at. He can't really rotate to either the left or that right side. So he literally has to wait until they disengage off that position before he can do anything. Deep into Dirty Docks, Faxity, Reason, a late entrant not only to a competition like this, but a late contest on this side of the map, and it looks like they're leading the fight. Reason does have the breacher, so he can break through these builds relatively easy, but they're shock waving to try to find safety, and Reason is going in onto Gon. They realize this is a 2v1. It's now or never, but a big shot from Gon is going to slow things down.
And Flakes, he's got to come play a little bit of supportive measure. He knows that Gon just got a huge crack onto Reason's shield, but Faxity, Reason, now split angle approach. Gon gonna crank all the way to the high ground, just crash pad to safety. He does have a chug jug, and with Flakes nearby, Flakes is gonna be the one to actually cut off that line of sight there for Reason and Faxity. But
they're just stuck in Storm.
It's inevitable, Jacob, because there's only one way to actually make it towards the edge of zone. Faxity and Reason, we're going to have to approach one of the two other teams landing in that POI, and it just happens to be the Brazilians every time.
Yeah, and it's just now turning unfortunate for both of them instead of just Faxity and Reason. The zone is pulling further and further to the east, so there's so many more teams that they're going to have to find a way to make their way through, including Peterbot and Ozzy, who just got their first elimination.
And onto Booga nonetheless. Peterbot just so dastardly. The moment that he sees anybody, he's so down to just key them immediately. That's brimming with confidence.
I think first place was about 27 points. That was Clix and Lacey. Second place, only 3 points away. 3 eliminations separating as of now. But you can see that two teams still over here. 1 damage per tick in the zone. There's a lot of chug barrels, a lot that you can go ahead and recuperate the HP, the bandages as well. So it's not too much of a worry that they're staying here, but look at all the resources that they're using. Reason is almost out of those small bullets. You see him just 5 shots left in the shotgun. Luckily, Faxity is there to finish off that elimination and give him the loot he so desperately needs.
That was a great snipe by Faxity, making sure to cut off that escape angle. But at the same time, Jacob, they spent so much time. This was such a steep investment, fighting for so long at Dirty Docks. And they're not exactly better off for it. Loser Brute gonna add to the count, though. 1 more elimination for Faxity and Reason to take advantage of. But they are still out in no man's land compared to where other teams are already positioning inside of the zone. And with the amount of time spent, they might as well just continue to play exclusively for eliminations.
Yeah, especially since, you know, if you're in full control, you have all the loot, and you hear those players just getting rebooted over and over and over. You know that that solo player is staying by, and you can just continue to farm just like they're doing so far. Cold and Courage rotating through Slurpee Swamp. They have to be careful. Seti and Dia right above them. Mongrel and Ollie A just close to the zone, and there's still 1 more team as well. All of them have a little bit of priority over them on this rotation for now.
A lot of bodies, though, at Slurpee Swamp, and we all know Peterbot does not like anybody in his territory. Might only be a matter of time before he looks to start clearing out some of those teams and playing a little bit more aggressive, but peeking back in with our Game 2 winners, Lacey and Clicks. If they can continue to replicate the level of success they found in the last lobby, Jacob, they might start to run away with this one.
They have that calm, cool, collected demeanor. They have the chemistry, best friends, some would say. As Ozzy's on the other side, putting pressure down from above. Peterbot's to have a crash land. He's trying to make his way up with that shockwave. Meanwhile, that full duo that they were going up against quickly made their way on out. You said it yourself, Taco. Slurpee Swamp, that belongs to 1 man and 1 man only, or boy. That would be Peterbot. And he's just really wreaking havoc all around the lobby. And you see, and he's going to pack a punch in his loadout. It's not just the Thunder Shotgun and the Mammoth. He's making sure that he has the SMG as well. That way he can just end a fight in the blink of an eye.
But with the way that Peterbot and Aussie essentially just reclaimed Slurpee Swamp, they forced every single one of those other teams that were trying to take advantage of some of the heals surrounding Slurpee completely away. He's not allowing anybody else to utilize those resources. It's only Peterbot and Aussies to take advantage of. Ronaldo, Kanata, they're one of those teams a little bit stuck on the outskirts of Slurpee, but they got a decent little loot pile next to them.
See, I knew this was the only team with 2 FNCS championships, but with a Chapter 2 Season 1 win, Ronaldo is the only creator with an FNCS champion. Hey, that's got to give a little bit of confidence for someone like Ronaldo. I know we were kind of watching him practice in the rooms. His mechanics are there. It's just kind of like the outside factors that change when Fortnite and the meta changes.
But Ron doesn't even need the championship title. Ron would have that confidence regardless of the circumstances.
I can't even remember who
competitive history
won Game 3.
Who's asking for it, guys? Please stop bullying him. And it seems like it's worked out so far, but Mongrel, Ali A, they might be running smack dab into Cammy soon. Gotta keep an open eye out. Clicks has lost Lacey though, and we are rapidly approaching that no more reboots territory.
This is best case scenario though with Lacey going down, because you got a max pull to the south, which means a lot of those teams are already going to start their rotations on over. Just need to figure out how you're going to get the loot. And if Flakes and Gone are going to push up on you, but no, it's actually Clicks the one looking to get aggressive. If he can win this 2v1 fight, that's the loot that they need. And there's a big shot on the Gone. He goes back to back. Flakes is feeling the pain as well. Clicks is not slowing down.
Nice.
Get the knock. Gone is gone. He is out of here. And now that is Lacey's loot.
And Clicks, he's still looking to chase him out. He wants to get this duo fully eliminated. Flakes barely managing to survive. He's trying to run every which direction. One more shockwave to create some space. Lacey with attack from overhead. They're crash padding in. They've got Flakes on the run, but he's going to sit and hide inside of the bush. They don't have any idea where he's actually scurried off to, and they'll be forced to just head right back to the zone.
Flakes did his job. He gave Gon a chance to get rebooted back up, and with him staying alive, there's going to be a second chance as well. But I wish them all the luck in the world, because look how stacked that side of the zone is when the reboots finally turn on. Luckily, there's barrels. There is Slurpy Swamp, so there is going to be some chances. But you got to give credit. All the credit in the world to Clix, not only making that opportunity possible, getting Lacey back in the game, but getting him loot. Isn't that the creator's job?
But it's just not enough loot and clicks. He's gonna pay the ultimate price. They're victims now to the
Oh
rest of
shoot.
the lobby.
Oh yeah, Lacey went down, yep.
Position,
And Clicks.
and they're down and out for the count, Jacob. They'll go back to the battle bus for game 4.
That is just...
Clicks and Lacey went down.
Placement's too short to get any placement points. At least he was able to get some eliminations to keep the points flowing. As Faction and Reason just getting targeted. Luckily for them, as of now, they're on the front side of the zone, so eventually teams will have to start to rotate their way in. Just how long can they keep a hold of this pressure? And it seems like things have settled for them, so it's about assessing the situation. And you can see they're using everything that they have, every resource. Bandages first, then the chug if needed. And this is how Gon is just getting put in the ringer right now. Another elimination, and it's after 7th zone. He's not coming back this time.
And Gon and Flake's just caught in the crossfire for way too long. First it was Faxity and Reason, but Venno, Reddish, they're looking to keep the ball rolling here. Reddish is gonna have to take a moment, replenish some of those shields that she lost. But with 6 splashes, a couple of big pots, it's gonna be no issue whatsoever. They're definitely looking nice and healthy, but the high ground is what might be up for grabs soon.
Yeah, right now we see Queasy and Nick at 30 on one side, but on the other, Ali, A, and Mongrel are actually making an attempt for it. Might be a little bit too soon though. 7 zone,
I'm tired.
a little bit longer, especially with one team getting focused, but they do have it, and they have it secured for now. You see them firing off into the distance. That's Queasy and Nick. They're seeing where the zone pulls, and Mongrel and Ollie A, they get the zone pull. They get high ground priority.
But the for now is the key word here, because the moment that Ali A tries to get a peek overhead, Queasy...
Yeah, look, Ale just kept peeking, like, he kept over
They're
peeking.
still looking to play for that height takeover. And Queasy's intentions, this could be an all-out brawl for the high ground in a matter of seconds here. But the whole lobby is on the move, Jacob. They're all trying to control that front side.
Even Alex using the crash pad that wasn't even his. Mongrel, he's been in this situation before, being able to hold on to that high ground. Ali A is doing his job right. Anybody that flies past, he's trying to put down pressure, trying to land some damage, make it easier and easier for the lobby to thin out. But Reddish has just got taken down, leaving Venno by himself. And you can see he only has 3 minis, so he's going to need an elimination if this goes to a heal off.
He does have a lot of builds to work with, though, for the time being. But he's got Kanata and Stibble Ronaldo directly underneath where he's boxed up. Mongrel still trying to control height, but Queasy, Nick A30, they're overtaken. Mongrel by his own, he can't keep tabs of everyone around him, so Queasy gonna force him to drop.
That was a 200 IQ play. You had Nick at 30 pushing up, being the actual aggressor. Queasy in the distance landing the damage. Ollie A is now down. Mongrel's by himself. 90 on the chug, only 25 builds left. He's trying to keep his position in the front side of the zone to attack. But for how long, with more and more players starting to put pressure, you feel and hear the shots firing onto his builds.
Oh, but Cammy just got shockwave deep into the heart of the storm. Peterbot, one more time, as a solo. He's
Hi. Hello. Hey. I just need to finish filming something. I'll be done soon, okay? I love you. What? Huh? Wait, what do you mean?
I don't know how to explain it, but she just that.
Have a shower?
Mm,
What, tonight?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll be done soon, okay?
Have to use the Slurpees. He's gonna have to find some more eliminations if they want to make up for the placement points with those individual elims. And Mongrel might just be the target in his sight. Mongrel doing everything he can, working his way through the low ground, but he doesn't have enough. Peterbot, though, getting caught up in more action than what he bargained for, trying to get the layer switch over, and he's going straight for the high ground tackle.
Might not take it all. He missed that opportunity. Goes straight down to the low ground. Thanks to that elimination on Mongrel, he does have some chug jug left. Veno's doing the same thing, getting aggressive, forcing players lower and lower on his current position. Queasy and Nick, third time could be the charm. We've seen him on high ground. Let's see him close.
I can't even remember who won Game 3.
They've just been skirting by Peterbot with a
It might have been
elimination now onto
Stable Ronaldo.
And it could be disastrous for Savage. He's trying to see if he can make his way forward, but Peterbot.
Yeah, look, Peterbot went down.
Rex from behind, just taking him out. A menace to the lobby, no roar. But Rex paying the ultimate price. She's also been eliminated. Thomas bringing down Mr. Savage. And it's all by himself that he's got to keep this one alive.
Oh no, Shockwave just a little bit too far in the zone. Only 10 on the chug jug, so that's essentially going to be a non-factor. Down below, one of the few duos left in this game, Ronaldo and Kanata. They are the ones on the hunt. They are the ones causing complete chaos down below, especially for any team that crosses path, and the gentle mates have just been separated.
Yeah, I think the winners were Stable Ronaldo and Kanata for Game 3.
He might have to drop Seti, might have to get involved, getting a couple of tags. Kanata's shield so incredibly low, but Seti, he's all by himself. He's just trying to stay out of the line of sight, and he can't go much further. He's gonna have to block his view.
From a top 2 to a top 3, at least he's staying consistent. As Nick dropping down from above, no builds. Queasy taking a huge amount of damage, 10 HP each. They're scrambling to try to make a play, and Nick and Bernie is
Yeah, look. See? Winners for Game 3, Stable Ronaldo and Kanata.
But I came to see
this is
this
Game 4.
weekend.
Peterbot was
This is Game
gassing.
4.
I'm considering it a compliment when Peterbot says he's not as bad as I thought he would be. And hey, Aussie backing that statement up. He is popping off. The fact is, Mongrel is going to have some serious difficulties.
Oh,
being
nice tag.
The punching bag now of match 4. Ali A.
Nice tag out the air.
Just passed the torch along to his teammate.
He's just been hiding down underneath.
Yeah, there you go.
The shot, but now he has him full boxed up underneath. This is all over. As long as Peterbot can land the shots necessary, Ali A is not able to get out as he lands continuing shots after another. 3 straight back to back to back. But at least Ali A, you see the smile. He's a good sport for it.
My heart hurts every time Ali A gets eliminated at this point, Jacob. You gotta feel for them, but Mongrel's at least still alive. Aussie has opted to pull back. Slurpee still a little bit in zone, but this is the early game. There are still some recovery methods that could take place here. Don't want to count him out just yet, but it is going to be a very rough uphill battle for Ali and Mongrel to find their momentum.
And at the end of the day, honestly, it doesn't matter how many times you go down, as long as you can go ahead and get eliminations from yourself to keep it relatively close. Nobody chasing them this time around, so Ali and Mongrel will have a good opportunity to load up over on the eastern side of Slurpee Swamp for now, until they get sniffed out by any of the competition. But I also did see Somerset getting taken down to the feed by Savage and Lachlan not too long ago, and she's forced to reboot. You notice she's not in the zone. She knows there's safety, there's time towards the outside, and that's exactly what she's doing.
Keep an eye, though. Veno and Reddish could be in a little bit of trouble. They don't want to find themselves pincer between Courage, Cole, Thomas, Somerset, but Venno, he's exactly where he wants to be, tangoing with Seti. Gets that initial elimination and sends Seti packing.
Literally just stole that wall away, didn't give Seti a chance to think about what he's going to do.
Lachlan's come back in.
Fresh rebooted back up. You see him, watching him like a hawk. Coyote is going to be able to, I was going to say get the knock, but it's Thomas HD who steals that one away onto Lachlan yet again. So for Coyote and Captain Chota, even though they're going to have to rotate on out, they have to figure out a way to kind of seal the deal on some of these eliminations and not let them slip through their fingers.
And look, I understand that you're going to keep being brought back into this match so long as your duo is alive, but for Lachlan, for Mongrel Ollie, we're looking at some of these teams that have just been struggling non-stop because they're not really getting an opportunity to farm anything up, Jacob. They're just trying to avoid being some of the first teams eliminated. It's Coyote, Shota now applying so much more pressure onto where Savage and Lockie are actually at. And Coyote might be able to just force them to completely clash with them head on. But Savage is doing what he can. Savage is buying a little bit of space here.
Yeah, and this is a winnable situation for Mr. Savage. He has the pump. There's a Maven and attack on the other side. Not as hard hitting, even if you are a duo. So if Savage can figure out a way to wiggle in and out of some of these builds, draw out a 1v1, and maybe Lachlan catching somebody off guard, dealing some damage, it is going to be doable. They have the crash pad as well, 6 of them to be exact for Mr. Savage. So being able to disengage, also an idea in the back of their minds.
But if it's up to Savage, he'd much rather just let Coyote and Shota rotate out first, and they'll just try to play catch-up after the fact. But with Thomas and Somerset also so close by, Venno and Reddish too, you can never count out being third-party. So as aggressive as Shota and Coyote want to be, they're going to immediately jump into Lachlan's box one more time. He is sent back to the reboot cycle, and this is where it gets very difficult because now Savage shooting at the crash pad, even trying to ensure that nobody can give chase, but he's just so low on material, Jacob. He is fully
Who's that, Mr. Savage?
out.
Yeah, he's going over towards Steamy. He has to look for scraps, 4 bandages. That's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but if he doesn't find anything from here on out, Savage will go down yet again, but at least he's given a chance to get Lachlan back in the game. Somerset, Thomas, they got that one elimination from the backside of the zone, and this is a strategy, talking about Thomas and Somerset. If they go down early, they will not be afraid to stagger themselves back in the zone because it's Slurp Rush, Taco. There are so many barrels to get that HP back up.
For sure, but even then, you don't want to keep allowing other teams to farm those individual elimination points off of you, and one team that certainly hasn't had any difficulties hunting for those elims might just be Peterbot.
Clicks and Lacey doesn't have any
I got the pulse rifle.
Wait, the pulse rifle?
kills.
Yeah.
Yo!
We win.
Alright, so you want the great here, take.
I think it's coming out.
I got his back wall, I'm in his box with him. Nice. That's not showing a rat on me, but that's showing. Nice, good stuff, bro. You want to come over and help you?
No, it was only...
Yikes. I kind of fear for the rest of the lobby. Mongrel getting taken down twice, but the mythic pulse rifle in Peterbot's hands, you could deal so much damage by scoping in just like this from far away, or the hip fire spray kind of works similar to an SMG, so he is looted and booted, ready to go.
A couple of eliminations onto Mongrel, nice, sure enough, but Peterbot, he literally just said, we win. That is how confident he feels having this weapon at his disposal, Jacob, and the rest of the lobby, understanding the impact he might have, they're not going to try to stick around Slurpy Swamp much longer. They're all just trying to immediately rotate around it, but Thomas, the highlight reel is back with this mammoth pistol. They've been trailing behind Coyote and Captain Shota for so long, and now Shota, Coyote paying the price.
I really believed in Thomas hitting that last shot at the last second. I thought it was going to be possible, but those are the dangers that you face around the entire lobby. If you kind of just get caught off guard for a second, the Mammoth Pistol, especially a headshot, can change the game around in the blink of an eye. Zemi and Cooper, they have such a good loadout, at least in the former Global Championship hand in Cooper. Zemi's there, and Zemi, no stranger to third-party style events. He has some big wins under his belt as well.
Saw for a moment there, caught a glimpse, Peterbot Aussie just looking to take an elevated peak position over Slurpee. They've got a pretty good idea of where some of the other teams are trying to rotate through. Queasy, Nick, a little bit more towards that front side of zone. Currently, Box just on a slightly hill position. And Kanata, Ronaldo, they're just waiting for the traffic to come their way. They'll be more than prepared to look for those eliminations, but they want to prioritize the positioning.
Captain Shola went down.
You see Captain Shota just getting taken down yet again. Peterbot's the one that's going to clean up the elimination, but I believe the point actually does go over to Cooper and Zemi. And this is zone 6, 10 seconds left. Reboots will disable. So anybody that is eliminated now on respawn will have a chance to get back into the game. But Taco, as of now, reboots are disabled.
And that might just be worst case scenario here for Shota. He's trying to swing
bro,
around.
how can you-
Fortunately
how
for
can
him,
you
a little bit of
survive from that?
indirect assistance from the lobby.
I don't get it.
Peterbot
How can you survive from that?
loses half of his shield while trying to take those pot shots at Shota. And that is a big saving grace. But it might not make a difference for some of these other duos looking to rotate around Slurpee, Booga, typical gamer. Gotta be wary of what's lurking above.
Hey, Peterbot just continuing where he left off, just farming Elim after Elim after Elim. Zone pulling towards the northwest or northeastern side of Slurpee Swamp here. Kind of back home for Peterbot and Ozzy, but for Seti and Daya, they have a decent rotation. They can one-hop it to the front side of the zone. They can sacrifice the HP if they want to try to take some high ground, but for now, they're just trying to take it slow and steady. 7th zone, 5 more to go. You don't want to bite out more than you can chew at any moment.
And look, it doesn't need to be
The
flashy.
circle's getting
Seti
small
and
now.
Daya,
Here we go.
a lot of success with consistency.
Here's where the proper
by
action
just
starts.
playing to
I
their
love
team's
this
strengths.
point in the game.
Both of these players are competent. They've got a decent amount of LAN experience and just in-game competitive knowledge, and they're letting it be put on full display here currently. Savage and Lachlan, they've been working a little bit chalked since that early start, but Shota just cannot escape Peterbot's vision. Peterbot just entirely too high up. The advantages are so steep, and that's going to be Shota knocked one more time by Peterbot. Ozzy knows his responsibility. Let me just keep the material count high.
Yep, they're on the high ground right now, and that resource management is going to be crucial if you're looking to take it and keep it from zone to zone to zone and not really have to use the shockwave. Underneath, though, Cooper, Zemi, they do have the front side of zone already underneath their grasp. They have the luxury to be able to wait here, Taco. They can wait for it to open up, shockwave to the front side of zone to keep their position, or they can use their materials and tunnel their way there.
But some of these teams that were leading towards that top end leaderboard in our top 3 position, they've got to be getting a little bit nervous, seeing that elimination feed constantly light up with Peterbot's name and clicks. He's got a whole slew of problems right in front of him.
Nice shockwave.
Zemi nearly taking him out. Lacey still a little bit left behind. Can he reunite? Crash pad gonna catapult him straight to the front side. He's building, he's boxing, but that's his last splash. Now he has to wait for Clicks to play catch up.
Now, at least they've reunited into the same box. Clicks now taking charge, even giving up some of the heals on over to Lazy. They might have shockwave him out of zone one game, but they won't want to make that mistake again, especially with the leaderboard this close. Reason getting the
Ozzy and Peterbot on height.
Stable Ronaldo now left by himself with Panada getting taken down, and he's somebody, we talked about his experience, he has a ton of it, but how much is it?
Nicky 30 went down. Queasy's alive.
If anything, Ron's familiar with pressure, so he'll try to let that experience carry over into this type of solo clutch, but clutching is going to be so problematic. Everybody just getting so congested outside of Slurpee, and with Peterbot and Aussie fully controlling the flow of this lobby, we saw Baxity for a moment, but it was only just a shockwave, a crash pad. Everybody trying to just stay one step ahead of the pack.
It's going to be extremely difficult for anybody to look up and try to contest it because of that mythic pulse rifle. Just constant pressure coming down from Peterbot and Ozzy. Everybody can feel it, and even Peterbot's just going down low, making sure to reconnect. The FNCS strategies are coming out in full force. That's how serious Peterbot's taking the second half.
Oh, nice.
Ozzy from behind playing that supportive measure too. Peterbot, he's got open season on the rest of this lobby. All of these mid-tier, low-ground layers just getting smothered on top of each other. Peterbot and Ozzy have a full chokehold on this lobby right now, but typical gamer, Booga, they're looking to try and make their debut. They're tarping their way through that secondary height, and Ozzy, he's gonna be forced to actually pull back. Took a little bit too much damage. He's gonna have to wait for the heals to pay out. But now, Queasy still alive as a solo.
Shockwave
Queasy's
destroying some builds, but
yeah,
giving him a
Queasy's
little
dead.
bit of cover to look through, but Lacey spots him out, gets the elimination. 10 zone.
Ronaldo's dead.
Points have not even set in just yet. 11 teams still alive, relatively loose with a couple of players playing as solos. Booga being one of them, lands a good shot on the Courage, but not enough to get that green light to go. Cooper, Zemi, they clean up Lacey, leaving Clicks by himself, and this is where players are falling left, right, and center.
Yep,
Clicks
look.
might be one of them because he's feeling the pressure.
And Clicks, he only
Yeah,
has
look,
2
Clicks
builds
are just getting
left.
pressured.
Make that one build and a dream. Doesn't even get a chance
Booga
to
went
heal.
down.
He's gonna be taken out before he can continue trying to build up those placements. Zemi, Cooper though, one of our few healthy teams on the low ground, but can they escape Peterbot's vision? That's been the real deciding factor for so many of these teams. Courage also scrambling right next to them. Cole taking out
wow.
Reason though. Very big troubles, very huge scenes though, as Courage finds his own elimination onto Jacob.
He just wiped the full duo out of the lobby. No siphon though, so 30 HP. The necessary time for that Chug Chug to pop is now. Peterbot slowly but surely dropping down. They realize this one is all but over in their favor.
I think they win this game, don't they?
Have a Chug Chug as well. More loot being passed up, but now they're contested. Flakes and gone, they're going up, but Peterbot's going out. He has the last round. He makes his way back to the zone. This is why he is king.
But Peterbot, he's got to get his way back towards where the zone is actually at. He doesn't want to find himself outside of it. Still has a shockwave. He takes it.
Look, Gon's dead.
That's going to be the massive refresh. All of these builds, shockwaving.
Ooh, 10 HP.
Peterbot barely managing to stay alive. He's on the high ground, and Ozzy's still right behind him. Ozzy's going to play Disruptor on low.
You don't know who he is until you realize that is Fragger Ozzy on the low ground, causing chaos. Peterbot's chopping down Cooper, sending him all the way down low to that low ground, and now that's his chance to put down pressure. Only 3 teams remain, and only one of them is a strong duo because Courage has just gone down. Cooper has no choice but to try to make a play. Everybody left alive is going to be solos. Cooper versus Cold in the backside of the zone as he takes down Courage.
But Cold, he's right there in the mind of Peterbot. Cooper trying to do what he can. Peterbot doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with. He'll at least have the opportunity, though, from the high ground to play off these small shield potions. Cooper goes up.
Nice. Let's go.
Peterbot with the clutch. We all know what he's capable of, and he is just continuing to deliver.
Both of these guys are playing in synchronization to make things happen when it matters most. Ozzy dropping to the low ground, Peterbot doing everything else. They waited to the second half, but they shown up and shown up big. Right, Frankie?
Game 5, here we go. Game 5.
This is their second to last chance to figure out a way to make up for lost time when it comes to that leaderboard. You go ahead and find yourself in a situation to where you can take more chances, get a little bit more aggressive, figure out a way to close that gap with eliminations because, Taco, it's been the 10th zone more times than not that has been granting the placement points because teams just won't go down.
But if you think about it, with Cooper and Zemi leading by just 3 points on that leaderboard in the penultimate game before today's final lobby, that's a lot of pressure, Jacob. Even for a seasoned competitor like Cooper and Zemi, it's still just so much bearing down on their shoulders, but they've got to see it through.
Yeah, especially if you're in first place, trying to play your game calmly, cool, collected, and then you just see the name in the feed lighting up with eliminations. It's almost going to force some teams to get more and more aggressive. Contested drop, though, this time around. Veno does look like he was getting aggressive over towards the boom and base onto Podesai and Nikov. Nate Hill's in the distance as well. And these are the type of strategy I expected to see. Game 5, Veno is able to land a good shot, but he is going to go down. We already saw Reddish at Steamy's stack, so we know where he's going to get rebooted at.
For a moment, it seemed like that was going to be turned on its head there for Podesai, but Nikov still had the backup necessary just in case things went south. And now, Frenchie's just looking to try and ensure that they have boom and base completely locked down. Veno dropping though. Probably just happy about the fact that he wasn't beamed out of the sky like we've been witnessing so often here today.
Yeah, and I've already saw on the feed, we got Mongrel, Ollie Aid, both going down respectively. But there's just so much action going down. Let's jump into Vacity and Reason.
Nice.
Oh my!
What happened?
Oh my god! I got the luckiest thing ever! Out of every exotic weapon!
Okay, nice.
Oh my god!
Look, he literally got every exotic weapon.
My gosh, is that like a 0.00001% chance to get every exotic in that one chest? They gotta be the ones to look at for this game.
Not even 1 in a million, like 1 in a billion odds there, it seems like, Jacob. But that is everything just completely dropped at Reason's feet. Him and Vacity have got to pop off this lobby. There will never be a clearer sign that this is your game. And remember, Vacity said it himself earlier when we were talking to him. We're gonna bring home at least one. Please let it be this one.
Yeah.
This is their best chance with the loot that they have, as Alex just getting aggressive time and time again, fresh off the reload, but he gets taken down yet again. Loser Fruit barely have gotten enough time to reload back into this game before Alex going down. They're just kind of hoping, they're praying that they got some sort of landing spot to go ahead and land at, and then maybe they can worry about loot. But Regs saw the reboot. She's going fresh after Loser Fruit.
And Regs, she might have even alerted Flakes and Gone that their prey has now been fully intercepted. They're gonna opt to just prioritize farming up a little bit of material, taking a moment to pause here, really scope out the scenery. But a little look back season on what was taking place with Ronaldo and Cypher. PK completely cornered by Kanata
Cypher
and
went
Ron.
down,
A
yeah.
strong tag team effort.
Yeah, and you see that box was literally on fire. There was no way for Cypher to really escape besides going at him, and almost looks like he got farmed again by Ozzy this time around. Moxie's trying to stay alive, get these reboots, but this is the last place on this entire island.
TG and Booga still alive.
Reboots because Cypher is getting the Ollie A treatment.
But Cypher will manage to escape Peterbot for the time being. How much longer, though? Aussie just gonna continue the conversation instead of pick up where Pete left off. That's some heads-up awareness from his duo mate, and that's the kind of chemistry that we've been witnessing come out really strong for Aussie and Peterbot at times. And Jacob, 5th matchup, 3 points away. I cannot emphasize on it enough because that is such an easy striking range. Only 3 eliminations, and they've already got like 2.
And right now, you started as a 3-point game, like you just said. Well, guess what? It is literally a 1-point game, barring if Cooper and Zemi don't got elims, as Moxie lands a good shot onto Ozzy, but it's Peterbot the one you have to worry about.
Moxie
he dives
down.
straight in, gets the elimination, and he's just showboating yet again. Peterbot is putting on a show today.
This is where that mental fortitude's got to come into play.
Look, bro, he was locked in.
When Peterbot is just non-stop emoting on everybody's body, and Savage, he might be next in the lineup if he's not careful, but it's Mr. Savage after all. He's gonna have a little bit of bite back. Pete's got to be wary. He can't just openly aggress into Savage's box. He might even shift his focus towards Savage's duo mate. Locky, he's got to stay closer to where Savage is at. Peterbot from overhead. Peterbot crushed Savage's shields entirely. Peterbot.
Oh my god, full boxed.
And that's just another elimination added up.
Peterbot just said, I thought you retired. Maybe let me lend you a hand going back on over there. Lachlan just trying to stay alive. Like I said, this is the last place you want to be a solo trying to keep your team alive because they're going to see it. They're going to jump. Now they're pouncing onto Lachlan. They know Savage just got rebooted. He is on the clock and time is definitely ticking.
But it doesn't even matter what's happening here for Lachlan and Mr. Savage. More importantly still, Cooper and Zemi. You've got to be panicking a little bit. You're watching that lead get completely flipped upside down because Peterbot and Aussie are just relentless. They are farming Lachlan and Savage.
Bro, look,
and
Peterbot was
elimination
like,
off of Lachlan. Peterbot with 4
Peterbot was
already.
locked in the whole tournament.
Some form of a disengage, but Savage, he'll meet his end. A full duo wipe. And that might actually be the best case scenario, though, for Zemi and Cooper.
100% best case scenario, because now there's nobody to farm out of the sky. And just like that, Peterbot and Ozzy have a 2-point lead over the competition and are not looking to slow down yet. Ozzy looking over, seeing that team building up on top of Slurpee Swamp into the distance. He said, yo, Pete. And he's just sharing up that information and letting him decide where they want to push next.
Never count out Clix and Lacey, though. They might want to be the first team to possibly repeat Victor Royale 2 on the day.
You just do this.
I like the fact that they're playing with so much patience. They don't need to do anything reckless. They've scouted out that Lucifer and Alex are on the bridge. And now, while Lucifer's trying to take this opportunity to heal, Alex left by himself. He's going to have to play support. He's going to have to try and prevent Clix and Lacey from pushing them entirely. And he's done enough. That's all he was really after, was just keeping Lucifer safe.
Yeah, because you don't want to get stuck. This is 5th zone. This is the danger zone for when you want to start to position and maybe not take those risky fights, because if you go down, get reloaded back into this game, there's almost nowhere for you to land, or nowhere safe at that. Especially for 7th zone, that's when reboots will be disabled. As Thomas, Somerset, 5 eliminations. A good portion of those were on NECA at 30, as Reddish is now taking her share of that point gain, taking him down yet again. They're just trying to take that slow rotation. Even with launch pads around, they know it's too risky to expose yourself with the mammoths, the snipers, and how dangerous so many players are with their aim.
Now I like this from Thomas, just taking a lower elevation, using some of that natural map terrain, but when you see these pre-existing builds heading up to the high ground, gotta be really careful. You never know what might be waiting for you. And Coyota actually gonna be the one with that mythic. We'll try this because dangerous scenes here, but Coyota doesn't get the opening shot he was hoping for. Shota now gonna look to try and back up his duo mate. Coyota trying to give chase, but he's just getting blocked off even from his own shots.
He was able to land one shot, but just a little bit too late. Somerset's there. They're trying to alleviate some of that pressure, and he's being so quick and predictive, trying to capture off guard, but no, it's Thomas that takes the big shot. Luckily for him, already pre-popped the legendary slurp juice, so the shield's going to take some time to get back on up, but it's well on its way. Playing defensive from one end, but it's forced to leave Somerset in a 1v2 situation versus Coyota and Shota. But this is great work by her, playing defensive, making sure that it's not going to be a free push, which allows her to reunite with Thomas HD.
The problem that Thomas kind of scoped out is Cold and Courage. They were just constantly spraying into where Thomas and Somerset were at. They're not going to allow them to key any further towards Coyota and Shota. It's just not safe. It's not worth the risk. Thomas knows better. And he's going to opt to just fall back, wait for the lobby to kind of settle in a little bit deeper into the zone.
And that's a scary box fight if you end up against Coyota. One of the few weapons in the game right now with that mythic charge shotgun that can actually hit a one pump. So you have to be careful, because that could have been a much different situation. Veno, Reddish, still going around the outskirts of the map, towards the outside, finding a lot of the different barrels that are left behind. The bigger the barrel, the more the HP, and that's something they're going to utilize in open water.
This is very familiar scenes, though, for Veno. He loves his dead side rotations, and it's a good heads-up play. You want to stay away from where so much of the attention is being drawn more towards that center zone, and with the way that they're basing up on a little bit of elevation, they might even have a great opportunity to kind of just pick off some other late straggler rotating teams.
Everyone's still alive, though.
Now the 6th zone, 50 seconds, and it will begin to close. So it's about 2 minutes, Taco, to reboots, or you can see in 45 seconds they're going to start to be disabled because it's already closing. Lacey's feeling the pressure. Now is not the time to go down. Ozzy's even pickaxing, trying to take control of these pieces. They know danger is looming around any one of these corners, and as soon as they drop down, they start to feel that feeling of safety, but it doesn't slow down. They're the focus of the lobby as of now.
They're barely getting just the smallest opportunities to try and restore some of that shield, but Clix, Lacey, they're just going to shockwave out. They're going to take their odds, just catapulting themselves further, but the lobby is not letting up. Clix so incredibly low. Lacey cracked as well. Queasy on the other end of things, but Flakes, he sees the white ticks.
Jesus.
Barreling them with pressure, and Clix, Lacey, they are just at their wits' end. They're practically out of material. If anybody else even spots out the fact that they're under so much heavy fire, they might just look to steal this one away from the rest of the lobby.
I gotta admit, it was Reason and Faxity. They have that exotic red eye, which means there's explosive damage, destroying a lot of those builds, which kind of started that lobby focus in general. Bad luck for Clicks and Lazy because now they just have very, very few materials. Reboots disabled. They're going to need an important elimination if they're looking to get back into this game. Kanata, Stable Ronaldo looking through these cones, trying to figure out when and where they have to rotate. They spot out Faxity and Reason. They don't even know the treasure trove they behold right above them.
That's a good hold, though, by Faxity, not allowing those floors to get fully chopped out. Kanata and Ron, they're going to have to default to a different strategy, and that might just be crash padding forward, trying to make sure they stay closer towards that front side. So many of our teams, though, have just been kind of duking things out in the low ground here, Jacob. And Clicks, Lacy, they're going to have to be a part of that because they need a refresh, probably more than everybody else that's still left standing right now.
Yep, 3 builds split between the 2 players. Hooper, Zemi already starting to rotate on over. There's a couple of chances here for Clicks and Lacy to start to get aggressive, but they're just waiting to catch somebody off guard. A nice maybe 200 damage, and it's Ozzy, the ones that looks like they're going to pounce on him first. Peterbot already made his way on out, and now he's going to be by himself because they go ahead and take down Ozzy and get the loot they desperately need to stay alive.
But it's just not enough material. Lacy still has 0 builds to work with, and there are shots coming in from every direction. They're just playing a little bit too
TG and Booga trying to pressure them.
Teams know that this is an injured duo. They are not healthy enough to keep pressing forward. But Jacob, he's lost in the fray. Cammy gonna be the only one left standing now at that duo, and Thomas with that mammoth pistol trying to see if he can take somebody else's head off.
This is where you really have to be careful and thoughtful of your shockwaves and your crash pads because someone just like this is gonna deal so much
Queasy went down.
Just like that. Queasy just gets deleted out of the sky, and their chances for high ground go out the window because it looks like it's Thomas HD and Somerset's turn to claim it as their own.
And Thomas all too happy to take over, but that's where things went south for Jacob. Just beam from the sky. No rotation is safe when you've got somebody like Thomas on high ground with that mammoth. But look at Faxity and Reason. Reason said he's feeling lucky, but he's gonna need more than luck to make his way up this hill face. Thomas, Somerset already beat him to the punch. Peterbot, no Aussie, but Peterbot, he's been here before, Jacob, and the last time we saw him, he managed to make it work.
With only 2 shockwaves.
Peterbot's got 4 kills, bro.
That's his primary rotation to make it from point A to point B. But he does have blue pump and the gold mammoth. 1 pump around any corner just like that. Nick at 30 is going to go down. Another point for that elimination, but this is now top 10. Now every team that goes down, you get placements.
But Seti, Daya, they were just sneaking their way up the hill face. Somerset, Thomas, too distracted. They're dealing with Peterbot right in front of them, but Somerset crash padding up. Typical Gamer nearly getting taken out. Typical Gamer actually gonna force Somerset to drop ultimate low. No, she's gonna try to go back up to her height, but Booga, he's already got control. Booga and Typical Gamer now fully taking over the high ground, and they gotta deal with Pete in the middle of it.
He's ready to challenge. Solo, teammate, he's somebody that's willing to go and risk it all for what he wants. But Booga, TG, you see they're running out of builds. It's Typical Gamer taking the charge, leading the IGL, the tarping, but in comes Peterbot yet again, taking down the shields of Booga, but he is limited with his resources, only 3 builds, so he can't break down into an all-out fight.
All the while, Seti Daya in the low ground. This could be the optimal position because the heavy work is being done for them. The lobby is thinning itself out. Kanata might even be able to find another knock. No, he needs the refresh more than ever. Podesai spotted out the wood box, not going to keep him safe for much longer, but Kanata forced to close off the wall. Scouts that it's Cooper and Zemi in the low ground, cutting him off, stealing that loot away from him.
Cooper and Zemi finally getting eliminations. They're playing towards that consistency. We know throughout the course of this game, Peterbot and Ozzy have taken away that first place, but there's still 6 teams that need to go down, which is 6 placement points, and he has that mythic charge shotgun, 1 pump potential for him. Peterbot, he's got a little bit of arsenal, but I don't think it's going to be enough. 1v1 versus Kanata. No siphon.
Peterbot went down.
Both of them go down.
Peterbot making sure that Kanata goes with them. Typical Gamer still on height with Booga, but Daya, Seti, they're still up and kicking. Reason, Faxity to the high ground. Reason, Faxity seem like they want to be the ones to take over height. The challenge is a success. They're now on top. Typical Gamer stuck in the mid-ground. Everybody getting trapped inside the castle here at Fort Crumpet, and Typical Gamer will fall.
There might have been over 4 million different timelines looking through, but
TG and Zemi went down.
One where Vaxity, a late entrant into the competition, could come out, but he's having a couple of hiccups from up, down, left, right. His HP's out the window, but Cooper staggering himself back. His only chance was left of the Chug Jug. He has to figure out a way in because he's the only solo left versus Seti and Daya. Vaxity and Reason, the two strong duos, but they run into Cooper. Then he goes down. Reason is the one that's firing down from above. Hail and Brimstone with that red eye.
I like that! Vaxity and Reason! They just need to close it! Reason!
Let's go!
And Seti and Daya! They are out of here! Reason and Vaxity! This is your moment! This is your victory royale!
The brothers are on top. You said it yourself. He guaranteed one. And that guarantee, that prophecy has just been fulfilled. We need to feel and see how they're feeling with Frankie.
Game 6, everything on the line here. Let's see who brings it home.
Game 6.
Competitors know that this is their last chance, the last stop the Battle Bus is gonna make in the 2025 FNCS Pro-Am here at the Galen Center. I better hear you guys get real loud for these pros as we seal the deal on what comes next.
Things kind of staying the same over towards the dirty docks. All three teams landing here. Reason, Vaxity, they're landing towards the outside, just trying to get what scraps are left behind. You see some rare chests there, but Savage and Lachlan said, you know what? With everything on the line here in this last game, let's just contest one of the greatest of all time, Peterbot and Ozzy, and see if we could try our luck. Because we take them off the map, you got to imagine that opens up possibilities for more and more elims.
And this might not be what Savage was looking for, though. Booga gonna temporarily prevent Peterbot from outright keying Savage, but Peterbot, he has other plans in mind. He's looking for that fight regardless. Savage just trying to keep this wall closed off long enough, but Pete already immediately looking to take it. Savage scrambling, ducking every which way, but Savage,
Jesus
he just can't
Christ,
get
Peter.
he needs.
Bloody
Savage's
hell.
gonna fall, and Peterbot's gonna let him know what's up.
That's just disgusting. It was almost like Peterbot playing with his food with a couple of those edits. Instantly gets the upgrade with a shotgun, so now he's gonna have the Thunder. With the red eye, they're saying, hey, just keep on coming. Savage gets reloaded right above. That's where they're gonna look up and try to land the shots, but just a little bit too late and slow to go ahead and attack that one. And that gives it up to Booga and Typical Gamer.
Heads up play, though, from either Typical Gamer or Booga, not sure which one, but shooting shots to Peterbot so that he can't continue to try and apply pressure there. And poor Lachlan, he's just caught in the center of all of this. He can't even afford to leave because you've got Aussie up on heights at Slurpy Swamp. Savage doing what he can to see if he can finagle his way out of this one. But with two separate teams just hawking you down, what odds do you really have of making something out of this match?
You almost just gotta hope Peterbot gets bored and goes and moves on to somebody else that could potentially get rebooted. Lachlan's only chance is just kind of hide and bunker down into that bush. Well, he gets found out, so his only chance went out the window. But luckily, he did buy enough time for Mr. Savage to get reloaded back into this game.
But hey, can't discount what Seti and Daya have been able to accomplish throughout the course of our lobbies today.
Alex is down.
Points going into this one. Alex brought to his end. Only temporarily though, but it looks like Gon and Flakes have had enough. They are sick of the Ozpon fight being so conveniently interrupted by Alex. They say, hey, if you're looking for a fight, we'll pick one with you instead.
That's a heavy hitter to get out of the game as well. Not fully out, but definitely making him reset his looting opportunity as Peterbot straying away from Slurpy Swamp for a short moment. Still on the hunt for Lachlan and Mr. Savage. Both of them are just in complete shambles here. Really not able to answer the call as Peterbot gets the wall, gets the piece once, and as he fires a 78 shot, it's just a little bit too quick to the punch as he takes down Lachlan. And it's just a huge giveaway because guess what? In about 12 seconds, Taco, he's going to reload right above Savage. And they're not only going to know where Lachlan's at, they're going to get a feel of where Savage is at as well.
But Peterbot's not trying to go too far from where Aussie is at. You have to remember, Booga, Typical Gamer, they are still kind of just conveniently sticking around the outskirts of Slurpy. But poor Lachlan. He just can't catch a break here as Pete takes him down one more time.
He's probably saying like,
4
oh,
points
for
already, just
fuck.
off
He's
of
probably
these
saying like,
individual
oh,
eliminations
for
that
F's sake,
he's been
or something.
building up. Zemi and Cooper, Seti and Daya just watching.
I'm trying to go family friendly, guys, on YouTube. I'm not swearing as much now. I'm in the process of going family friendly.
More so over Seti and Daya, Kanata and Stable Ronaldo just below fourth place on the leaderboard. They're going to need a monster last game.
Instead of like swearing on stream and stuff, I'm trying to go family friendly.
Nice shots on the Cypher PK, and that's the first elimination in the books.
Look, Kanata, all he wanted was South Zones, and I get that that hasn't necessarily gone in your favor, but Ron and Kanata are still here to play, Jacob. They are not giving up, and the expectations that they both set for themselves, they're strong competitors, and they're strong-hearted competitors at that. I'm sure that we'll expect to see them pop off a little bit here with some eliminations.
Disaster continues for Lachlan as he goes down again. You see Mr. Savage just outside on that mini-map, just trying to get him back into the game as Nikov, Podesai, making their rotation away from that booming base, that uncontested drop that they've had throughout the day. They're just waiting. 12 seconds have passed since Lachlan went down, so he gets reloaded back in the game, and that's a lot of information being given up, and instantly Podesai and Nikov are going on the chase.
But this is exactly what the Gentlemates are going to be forced to do. They know that they're going to need more than just a strong placement to close things out. If they really want to play leapfrog with the leaderboard position, they're going to need a good chunk of eliminations to go with it.
Yeah, as of now, I do believe they're about 19 or so points down from Peterbot and Ozzy, and that's including some of the eliminations that we've had in this game so far. Seti and Daya, they started this one in third place, 54 points, 3 points outside of that first place spot. They're just looking around, trying to get some eliminations, but you know how safe, how calculated and careful Seti does like to play, especially that he knows he has the firepower and the loadout that Daya has in her inventory with those 2 legendary slurp juices. So as long as they let those eliminations naturally come to them as they're rotating to where that 50-50 is, I think they'll be okay.
And Seti and Daya, they also know exactly where a couple of these opposing duos are actually located. Poor Lachlan, though. He has just been getting beatboxed every single time he loads back in. The moment that he starts to drop, it just seems like there's going to be somebody looking to clean him up. And Savage, there's only so much he can do because as a solo, it's so difficult to actually try and prioritize getting the resources necessary to make your teammate be healthy enough to stabilize, but that's all they're looking for. It's just a little bit of stability, and that might be enough to make a difference for the leaderboard.
Yeah, especially since they both, at one point or another, were taken down during the course of this game, so loot has to be light as Kanata, Stable, Ronaldo rotating in continuously from the north, from bush to bush, box to box, is Seti. Hey, this is looking like a bad opportunity there for Cypher PK, fresh off the reload. He got just a little bit of loot, but it was instantly snatched away by Seti.
All Seti really wanted in the first place, with their full intention of hovering around that stilt town, they knew Cypher, somebody just keeps dropping in. Cold, picking some shots at his IGL, but Cold knows better than most. You take the advantages when you have them, but he doesn't necessarily need to try and force that engagement. It's a little bit of damage. The knock would have been nice, but if he doesn't get the clean headshot, he'd rather just move in towards the zone, prioritize positioning, and then you can just peek back and control the flow of the lobby.
Right now, Courage and Cole just trying to focus on their rotation. Starting this game about 7th place, 33 points. They're at least within grasp, especially if some of their competition above them on that leaderboard goes down early. Zemi and Cooper, they have placed top 7 in all 5 games, but they find themselves in 2nd place due to just the sheer regression of Peterbot and Ozzy able to pick up those elimination and close the gap for the bad games that they had at the start of the game.
And the scariest part too here for Zemi and Cooper is that every single time you can tell they're looking, they're hunting to see if they can find a knock, start building some elimination points of their own, but as long as there's mammoth pistols, as long as there's snipers, it's so dangerous to peek because the moment that one of them gets taken out, they will just be so turbo focused, they won't have a chance to try and recover.
Ooh, I like this loadout coming out from Clicks. He has that mythic
Clicks got 2 kills, Lacey's got what, 0?
When you're almost essentially box to box away from so many other teams.
I don't think Lacey got a kill this entire tournament.
Loadout to start a lobby focus. And then bam, there goes 1 player, there goes 2, it's zone 5, so they will have a chance to get rebooted back into the game as Savage and Lachlan seemingly still on top of figuring out how to make it work. It's Venish and Redo though, they're on the outside that are just closing in on that distance, and now Clicks is joining in on some of that fun.
There's just nowhere for Lachlan to land. The zone is already too tight, and everyone is just preventing this poor man from actually setting even 1 foot for longer than a second on the ground. And Lachlan, he might as well almost be forced to wait until the reboots turn off, because when that actually closes off, that will be the real green light for Savage. Okay, I'm fully a solo, but Savage is probably already playing like that.
Yeah, and he's just getting chased back there yet again. This time he was able to survive, touch the ground, but not for too long as Veno and Reddish were able to clean that one up yet again. There's just a lot of pressure being put onto Mr. Savage into this last game, because even though reboots have not been disabled just yet, where is Lachlan going to land? He can go deep in his own, but he's going to have to make his way out eventually.
But look how Peterbot and Aussie, they just kind of creeped up a little bit onto this hill face that's just a little bit below where Veno and Reddish are at. A lot of shots being fired, and Peterbot knows everybody's so distracted behind them, they can just look a completely different direction. And Zemi with no Cooper, this could be absolutely disastrous here, Jacob.
I think Zemi knows what he's doing, though. He knows exactly what he's doing. He stopped rotating, boxed up immediately, knowing that they have to reach zone. So why not use this time to let Cooper reload back into this game, get as much loot as possible, because you can't really go loot for it, and maybe drop what he has. But you're seeing how Cooper went down into the first place, the crash pads. A lot of these players have those audio visuals, but guess what? With the crash pads, you see nothing.
Just menacing by Kanata. Pretty much Goomba stopping Cooper. And that's going to be a steep uphill battle for Zemi and Cooper to try and tackle. Clicks and Lacey. That Mythic is just going to be very detrimental for so many teams caught behind them too, because players are going to try to seek out that elevation point that Clicks and Lacey are on, and they just have the ultimate cutoff.
Queasy and Nick, they're the ones that are on the high ground for now. 6 zone relatively early, especially since we're going to rotate around the map here in a couple seconds. And man, that is a max pull for a good portion of the lobby, including second place Zemi and Cooper.
Zemi has no builds.
Oh,
Jacob,
no.
Zemi has 0 material, and it's really only just begun. Clicks and Lacey, sure, we might be looking at them currently, but for the top 3, Zemi, Cooper, they're already having to function with all odds against them in terms of challenging for that first place position on the leaderboard.
They're getting challenged not just on the top side, but for their second place spot as well. Seti and Daya have just tied them on 56 points. The only thing holding them above is that victory royale that they got in game number 1. And that's how close this leaderboard is. Those small differences, the tiebreaker scenarios could play a role. It's Queasy trying to lead the charge. He's going to go first, grab the high ground as Cooper grabs an important elimination onto Captain Shota.
That was huge for Cooper and Zemi. Anything to kind of stem the bleeding that this duo has been dealing with. They have just been getting completely forced out of so many of their resources. So even the smallest lifeline can have a huge impact, but they still have so much left to tackle here, Jacob.
He's picking up some eliminations as well. Queasy getting 4 for himself. Him and Nick,
and Queasy's still on height.
Having an amazing time on that high ground.
Try to look around their surroundings.
They do have the crash pads and a lot of players down below. We've seen the shockwave plays time and time again as Peterbot picks up his 5th elimination by himself. 6 of the team as him and Ozzy focus. Kanata and Ronaldo backside of zone.
And Peterbot, the fact that he's rocking those double chug jugs, that is a sight to behold. Obviously, the other competitors aren't fully aware of that fact like we are, but Pete's already aggressive in his own
Spraying
right.
TG went down.
Having the double chug jug already unlocked for him just means that he can choose to go for those solo pushes and just trust Aussie to play supportive measures or defensive measures. His objective right now is survive.
Just like Clicks, and he has to do it by himself as a solo. Not sure how Lacey went down, but he is out of this one. Joining Everybody else watching this one, seeing how Clix is going to get out of this tough situation. He does have the Mythic minigun, but Toyota's there on the other side, pressuring him. You add in the Shockwave, all those builds come crumbling down. It's a tough situation for anyone to be in, let alone a solo.
But PD's just got so much material, he doesn't mind giving up a little bit. But Aussie, he's been picked off from behind him. Peterbot now trying to see if he can actually dart his way back, but he can't get to Aussie's body in time. He's been cleared out the high ground. The real reason why Aussie couldn't make that rotate next to Pete, Queasy, and Nick at 30. They're still in control of Fight 2, just launching themselves to the next front side of zone, and that's gonna force Peterbot to drop yet another layer.
And you see they didn't even tarp on over, not trying to have too many weak points for them, only build out when they have to, and Jacob gets eliminated down below. Top 12 situation here, placement points don't come in until 2 more teams do go down, but they're still holding on to it with every fiber of their being. Nick at 30 and Queasy, this might be the time that they have high ground and close it out.
Clix is just so trapped in the backside of zone, barely managing to make it in off a sliver of HP, but Nick, Peterbot now continuing to just try and see if he can create any form of space for himself. He spotted out Thomas, but not sure that he's completely sold on actually taking this fight up close just yet. Peterbot gets a tag, but it's not a big enough one. He's going to use that grappler instead to move on forward, but he's got to be real careful. There are so many players starting to build a congestion on his layer.
And if Peterbot were to fall here, he has a little bit of a cushion that Zemi, Cooper, Seti, Dia will have to overcome, and even one more point being cleaned up as he gets the elimination onto Clix. That's 6 solo eliminations for Peterbot. Him and Ozzy have 7 overall, and they're trying to continue to increase that lead. And you're seeing our top 3. Seti is now by himself. He's feeling that same pressure that Peterbot is.
But wait a second, Zemi, Cooper, they might have just been reintroduced to this winning conversation. Seti getting sent so far outside into the storm, he's gonna have to use his Chug Jug way too early. Valuable seconds being off here now.
I'm just so locked in on this
trying to shockwave back into the zone. He does manage to make it, but only
on this game, on this end game.
Cooper loses Zemi though. Cooper's got to do this all by himself.
Luckily for Cooper, though, he does have med kits, the legendary slurp juice, different options here. Everybody in our top 3 are now officially solo players trying to hunt here, basically trying to outmatch each other. Now placement points are starting to come in. Top 9, top 8 as another one's going to fall. That's Somerset that gets taken down. Kanata is now out of this game. The players are now getting closer and closer here toward the end game where our final 3 could face off.
But that elimination that Cooper just got onto Queasy, that might just be enough time. Cooper doing what he can to try and see if there's any spare heals that he might be able to find back his own. But Peterbot takes out Seti and Dia. They're no longer in the conversation for first. Peterbot trying to hold strong to their position, but there's still other players to deal with. Cooper also doing the same on the
Cooper went down.
Peterbot's out of here. Cooper has the opportunity of a lifetime here to bring this one home.
He needs placement. He needs eliminations. It's his chance to put up some big numbers here in the final game of the day, but he finds himself in a 1v1, v2 situation here for our final 3 players left in the game, and the duo, EU's finest, Podesai and Nikov, going against Gone. That's the solo player who shockwaves towards the top, tries to fire a shot as he drops down low. Cooper's just letting them handle things. He said free placement, I don't mind.
Cooper, he might be looking to even try and send somebody back into the storm. He's got 5 shockwaves. He can buy himself a little bit of time. He's going to go straight up. He's going to throw that shockwave out, but it's not going to connect. Podesai going to get chopped out because of Cooper sending himself up with the shockwave, but Cooper, he's just stuck between all of France here. Podesai and Nico. They will find the gentleman's victory in Game 6 here, but the damage has been done. Cooper falling when he did. Your FNCS 2025 Pro-Am champions are decided. Peterbot and Oxyantics.
One full day of competition, Taco. 6 games. You got Peterbot, reigning defending global champion. You got Ozzy, one of the biggest faces of competitive Fortnite. They went ahead and dominated with multiple eliminations. They got a victory royale. That's why your FNCS Pro-Am champions, Ozzy and Peterbot!
Nice.
because it took them until later in the competition to really take it by force. But once you had that victory royale under your belt, Peterbot, it was inevitable that you will be stood with me and this trophy. What does it mean to take victory at the Pro-Am?
It means everything because now I'm back-to-back LAN winner, so.
You are, and potentially you could be back-to-back later on, but that is something we need to discuss another time. Because right now, Aussie Antics, you must be so proud of yourself and Peter.
I'm pretty proud. I mean, he's the GOAT. Everyone knows this is his win, but I did my best to try to make sure I didn't hold him down and I didn't stop the run.
And what's interesting is normally you are watch partying this man do his thing, and now the world is watching you win. What's that like?
I mean, to be fair, in the last 2 games, you were watching me watch him again, so it felt kind of normal. He was solo clutching like crazy, but it feels amazing, genuinely. This is super fun. This was such a good event.
And what is going through your mind when that need to win really takes hold?
I don't even know. It just means everything.
Does it come naturally? Do you enter a flow state?
Yeah, I mean, like, after the win, I knew we were going to win the tournament because, like, the momentum from that game.
And you've got so much insight now for when you're watch partying at NA Major 3, Aussie Antics, because you know what it's like to be on comms with this man. So can you give us some insight now?
I mean, he did slow it down a bit for me, especially in that last game. He kept me with him, which I'm pretty proud of the fact that he cared enough to slow it down, but it's unreal. Trying to follow him is insane, but I'm just playing and it's just Elim. He's something else.
Yeah,
To your fans before I let you lift this trophy one more time.
I appreciate all you guys, and I'm glad to bring it home again.
Well, you know what? Fortnite is all about moments, as a very wise man once said. So let's make another one right now. Guys, if you'd like to take your position behind the trophy. And please, Gannon Center, one more time! Make some noise for your 2025 FNCS Pro Champion!
Nice. Locked in.
I cannot believe it, guys. Guys, throw these headsets on. Come here, Ozzy. Come here, Ozzy. Wow. To think, Ozzy, we've been friends for a really long time. Man, a really long time. To think it all began on an FNCS broadcast.
Yep.
And now we've taken it to a win in an FNCS Pro-Am.
Thanks for watching, guys.